What I'm about to show you here, guys, is actually ridiculously broken. This is horrific design of this game. Watch this. They're actually tying client FPS to essentially the internal server time of the game. Now, don't worry. I'll explain this as best I can in a moment. But what's happening is the lower your FPS, your abilities won't function correctly because it's using client-side FPS to update the server. Now, there's this whole thing of delta timing and everything. We'll explain that in a moment. But what I want you to look at here, guys, is I've limited the game to 30 FPS. I'm going to use the dash ability on Magic. You can see where I'm standing here, right? So I'm standing pretty much here. I'll go forward a little bit. So I'm basically, see where our foot is stepping? You know, we're kind of stepping on the 15-meter line, right? So it's negligible, the distance. I'm going to use the ability, and I reach the bot. But this is where things get absolutely insane. So if I now go back to my settings and go, I don't want any kind of FPS cap, so I'm going to turn that off and apply, you'll notice my FPS has absolutely shot up back to 200. So I'm going to go back here again, you know, we're basically at the same spot. You see, again, it's negligible, the distance there. Now I'm going to use the ability. Watch what the hell happens. This is horrific. In a game that has any form of competitive mode, this is actually so broken, right? It's hard for me to explain. Now, I know a lot of people have been saying, well, Rivals isn't this super competitive game like the likes of Overwatch is, which has an incredibly strong and well-made engine. This is Unreal Engine 5, as far as I'm aware, and this is like a programming mistake that is so catastrophic. I don't think you can just fix this without a ton of work to the engine. Again, I'll just show you this, right? So look, I'm here, and it isn't just Magic. This happens with loads of different heroes. There's a great video I'm going to show you guys in a second from Anian, I believe, made this video, which is like a showcase of various abilities all being used. But pretty much every ability is going to be affected by this. And what it means is if you've got higher FPS, you're doing more damage. Your abilities effectively got more range. This is just insanely broken. So again, you can see where I'm standing here. I'm basically on the 15-meter line. I'm going to pop the ability. Off I go. Knock him up in the air and kill him. That's great. So again, if I run back to this 15-meter line, you know, and again, I'm, you know, approximately in the same position, and I go and drop down my frames to where is this option? So if I'm going to limit my FPS, I actually want to limit it to 30. So yeah, we're going to limit to 30, which I know is extremely low FPS, but this is an issue. So here we go. We're at 30 FPS. Yeah, I'm going to pop my ability. It doesn't work. This is so giga broken. I don't even know. This is bad. This is really, really bad. This is so bad. So let me try and explain what this is, right? I don't fully understand these technical terms myself, but it's to do with this concept of delta time, which is almost like an internal timing that the server uses, so where the game is being played, and the clients, and so they communicate back and forth, and it's almost like a form of lag compensation as well. And the idea of this is to keep everyone on a level playing field. So it doesn't mean that, oh, I've only got 30 FPS, so I actually can't even hit that Galactobot. But if I stand in this position and then go, oh, look, I'm just going to get rid of this because now I've suddenly upgraded my PC to a 4090 and I'm going to use it now and my ability triggers. This is horrific. Now, this affects PC more than it does console. It still affects console, though, because the issue with it on PC is there's such a wide variance of hardware, of setups. You know, even people with 4090s have reported performance issues in the game, right? But I'm sitting here with a high-end PC. It's fine for me. Now, if I play against another PC player, which when you match in competitive, you match platform specific. So you won't get console players as far as I'm aware, but I believe that's the case. So it's all PC, right? The problem is I'm playing on PC. I'm matching with people on PC. I've got a 4090, so I'm playing Magic. I get this. You know, I get a properly functioning hero effectively. But if somebody else on the enemy team is playing Magic and they've got a slower PC and they're only pushing 30 FPS or... You know, and this affects all of the FPS as well. It's just more noticeable when you go to the lower end of the spectrum. They've got a disadvantage because they've got a less powerful PC. Now, on console, this kind of manifests itself a little bit differently. I know there are different consoles, but consoles are generally all restricted to the same FPS. I think at the moment, and now you guys correct me if I'm wrong for this, but I believe it's restricted to 60 FPS on console. So in effect, it is... I guess everyone's got the 60 FPS experience. I don't know if there's a performance mode on console yet, but if that got added and then suddenly you could play at 120 FPS, well, the 120 FPS Magic is probably going to land that, whereas the 60 FPS Magic is going to have issues. 30 FPS, like I said, you see a lot more of the issues because, again, it's amplified as the frames go lower. This is really bad design because, like I said, it means you can literally straight up buy power, and it means that players like me with a better PC have just got an inherent advantage against players that might not be able to push that kind of frame rate. Now, there is another thing. When you look at the options in the game, so, you know, I'll be honest, I haven't gone in and tweaked any of my options in this game. I just rammed it to maximum. I was like, just give me the highest settings possible. That's all I really care about. Just ram it up to, well, ram it up to high, sorry, not ultra, because I want a decent frame rate. I want to get over 144 frames per second, so I can obviously utilize my monitors. That's what I was doing. Like, I didn't really go in, but generally competitive players will knock the graphics down to low anyway, and one of the reasons they do that is just to reduce visual clutter. You see that a lot in games like, you know, Overwatch, Counter-Strike. All the pros play on the lowest possible settings, and frankly, I don't want the game to look like shit. You know, I want the game to look good. But like I said, I've got an advantage here because I'm just, well, it's just broken. But it isn't just this, right? So take a look at my shift ability. So if I stand at the 15-meter line and pop this, see how I've ended here at the 5-meter line? Well, watch when I do this with 30 FPS. So remember, I landed at the 5-meter sign. So again, we're going to go back in. We're going to change the FPS. We're going to apply it. Now I'm going to use it. So again, you can see the frame rate is heavily dropped. I'm going to use the ability now. Well, actually, maybe I kind of did get to the same spot. Maybe I did for that ability. That's interesting, isn't it? So maybe it isn't affecting all of the movement abilities similarly. That seems kind of similar to me. Again, let's just do it right from the 15-meter line. What I'm doing is I'm lining up my left foot, if you can see, with the 15-meter line and popping it, and I'm landing basically on the 5-meter line. So again, just as a dirty little test, let's go back and do it again. But this one looked like it was kind of working, so let's get my foot sort of on it. I guess kind of like... It's a bit hard to get this measured. There we go. Kind of there. Pop it. So that one seems to be functioning. So maybe this is only coming down to things that I've got hit reg applied to it. But I think we need to look at this video, right, instead of me just randomly testing stuff, because it does show you that actually some movement abilities are heavily affected by this. And this is a problem, guys. This isn't just like some clickbait shit video or some sort of an issue people are making up. This is straight up an issue with this game. All right, let's take a look at this video. So first up, we've got Doctor Strange. So 160 FPS, he does his little kind of like flight thing. It's awesome. It does it at 30 FPS. Look, it doesn't move as far. You can see in the comparison, he isn't moving as far. It's only negligible, but he's not moving as far. This is Wolverine. Is shocking. Look, I mean, look at the 160 FPS one. He's just doing more damage. He is literally doing more damage in the same time because his client is updating faster. Again, you can see the movement of Venom on the wall there, but this is just insane to me. Like, this is so bad. This is the example I was kind of showing you guys in the video where you can see with Magic, there is a massive difference. I think we get a side-by-side here, which is awesome, and you can see it in a bit more detail. But again, like I said, I've showed this. It's crazy. This, though, from Star-Lord, again, it's like hit registering. Look at it. He is doing more damage because he's got 160 FPS. This is giga broken. Right then, so how do they fix this and what is actually going on? Well, like I said, I'm not an expert on this, and I'm not even going to pretend to understand any of these terms I'm going to use. But I think delta time is basically the method which is used to calculate game time on the server and the clients to match them all together to make sure when I press my dash on Magic, so if I go dash or my movement ability or my dash or whatever, it's me moving, telling the server that I'm moving. The server knows I'm moving at that time and then tells other clients that I am moving, so then they reposition me correctly. The problem is, this seems to be actually relying on my client's time for, well, like server updates, effectively. Again, I'm not an expert on this, but I think what's happening is when I'm popping an ability, my computer is literally telling the server I'm doing a thing more because I've got more FPS, so I'm getting more out of it, right? So I'm either hitting the targets more often, I'm getting more distance on abilities, and abilities are triggering. That just seems crazy to me. So I think what's going on is there isn't proper communication from player client to the server, and this is because the game is putting its sort of distance calculations on damage and movement ticks, or any kind of update tick is being tied to frame rate on the client rather than the server. Now, that's probably a horrifically butchered way of explaining that, and I don't think this can be fixed very easily. I mean, this is going to take some sort of engine work. It seems this is something that definitely should have been looked at when the game was in development, and I don't know how this is kind of... they've got away with this. But I guess let's just talk reason here, because is this an issue? So this is the other thing, right? Is it really an issue? Well, of course it's an issue. If you're playing on PC, like I said, everybody's got wildly different setups and everything's going to be totally different, right? And it's just going to be broken. On console, maybe not as bad. And if everyone's playing at the same frame rate, then again, okay, maybe not as bad. But here's the thing, right? In this game, there are certain abilities that hammer frame rate. So this isn't as bad as it used to be, but if any of you guys remember the beta, I never played the beta myself, but I've definitely seen the footage of this. Strange's Portal would just annihilate FPS. Like, it was horrific. You could cast this and it would drop FPS. You can sort of see my FPS, right? Look, it's gone down to, like, what's that, like 140 or something? And let's watch when this expires. I think, can I cancel it? No. Let's just let it expire. So, like 140. You can see how it's dropped the resolution to the left, actually. Look, and then we're back up to 200. So there's a noticeable impact, even on my performance. But if you've got a lower-end machine, it's going to be a problem. And on consoles, of course, this is a problem. Because if everyone's got the same hardware and you're popping strange portals or whatever, it's going to drop people's performance. And in that moment, people in the vicinity of the strange portal, well, their abilities and their damage isn't as much as people that are not in the vicinity of it. You see what I'm saying? So there's like a massive impact to this. It is... honestly, this is friggin' wild. Like, this game has been knocking it out of the park with a lot of things, but engine performance seems to be a big problem. I know I've been a bit of a shitbag with this because, oh, okay, whatever, YouTubers sitting here with a high-end PC. I am a little bit immune to those kind of things, so it is difficult for me to sort of realize that it's happening, which is wrong. You know, I should be aware of it, and I am aware of it. But stuff like this, where the engine is broke, is like, come on, guys, what are we doing? This is... also... you know, again, to go off on a bit of a tangent, this is very much something which can be abused by hackers as well. And I've already been seeing rate hacks and stuff like that. And I'm sure they do stuff like that where they're artificially increasing stuff. I mean, and also, the question is this. How low could I actually take the graphics, like with custom config settings and, all, and God knows what, to make my FPS like 1,000 FPS? Does that mean I'm going to be registering incredible amounts of damage? If I'm playing Star-Lord and I've got my ulti and I'm just like... hey, I've got 1,000 FPS here, so I'm going to... well, what am I going to do? I'm going to do, like, an incredible amount of damage. Is that some sort of viable scenario? Obviously, I've only got 100 and whatever FPS here, but we already know that this wipes the floor with 30 FPS damage. And it will do more damage than 60 FPS. You know, effectively, it'll just do more damage than any other FPS that isn't the same as it, although it starts to become less and less noticeable as time goes on. This is insane, guys. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. But I think we are starting to see a bit of a divide, aren't we, between maybe a game like Overwatch being more of the... this is the competitive game, and Rivals being more of the fun game. But I'll say this. Does it really matter at the end of the day who's the most competitive? It's who's the most fun, isn't it? And Rivals still is a fun game. But just be aware, there are some big engine problems. And we probably need an update off the devs on this, because... this is not great. This really isn't great. All right, guys, I've been Stylosa. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it was informative. If it was, let me know what you think about it in the comments below. And I hope you have a good new year, actually. I am off out now for a lovely evening of celebrations. Goodbye. That's code for I'm going to go and get pissed.